You're a disappointment. You'll never amount to anything. That's what my mom spat at Meth 3 days before she went online, smiling ear to ear, calling my brother her perfect son for graduating with honors. Not me, him. Then she hit me with a call. We're throwing him a big party. You're covering the catering. Do now. I asked, why me? She screamed, because you owe us for existing. So I did something I thought I'd never do. I walked away. No yelling, no dramatic speech, just silence. And somehow that shattered her more than anything I could have ever said. Now I know this might just sound like I'm ranting, but if you've ever had a parent who only remembers you when they need money, you'll feel this. This isn't about revenge, this is about waking up. About realizing that love isn't supposed to feel like debt. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm not asking for advice. I just want to tell you what happened when I finally said no. What happened when I stopped being their plan B and started living like I deserved better. Because once I stood up for myself, everything fell apart. But maybe for the first time, it fell apart in the right way. It started with a Facebook post. Graduation season had just kicked off, and my mom Linda, who practically breathes social media, couldn't help herself. She posted a picture of my younger brother Ethan standing in front of a balloon arch, wearing his graduation cap and that fake modest smile he always puts on when he knows cameras are around. The caption, "So proud of my perfect son. Graduating with honors. My heart is full." Public, of course, no privacy settings. No filters she wanted the world to see, and maybe that wouldn't have hit so hard if she hadn't completely ignored the fact that I had graduated just 1 month before. Same school, same stage, same ceremony. But in her world, it was like it never happened. Not a single line, not even a weak "congrats to both my boys." Just Ethan. Always Ethan. I wish I could say I was surprised. I wasn't. I've been invisible to her for as long as I can remember. Except when she needs something. Money, a ride, help fixing something at the house, then suddenly, I exist. But praise, recognition, a tiny ounce of affection? Nope. That's reserved for Ethan, the golden child. He's loud, charismatic, always the center of attention. And yeah, he takes after her side of the family, blue eyes, lighter skin, that same smug smirk she wears when she thinks she's won something. Me? I'm quieter. I've always worked behind the scenes. I save. I plan. I don't show off. And maybe that made me boring in her eyes, but I thought I was being responsible. I thought maybe, just maybe, being steady and kind would be enough to be seen. But that post? That hit different. My cousin Sarah, who never really gets involved in drama, even sent me a screenshot. She added a little "WTF is this," like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. I just laughed it off like I always do. It's easier that way. It always has been. Smile, shrug, move on. I told myself it would blow over like everything else, but I was wrong. Because a few days later, while I was home visiting, I walked into the kitchen, and it happened. The ambush. My mom was standing there with Ethan and my dad, all of them around the counter like they'd been planning something. I grabbed a glass of water, half zoned out, and then she hit me with it. No warning, no "how are you," just, "We need you to pay for the catering for Ethan's party." I literally blinked and said, "What party?" She looked annoyed like I was supposed to know. "His graduation party. We're hosting next weekend. We've already booked the food. You'll just need to transfer $2,000, 0 cents by Friday." I honestly thought she was joking. I waited for the punchline. Nothing. Dead serious. I laughed like an idiot, thinking maybe this was one of those family pranks that doesn't land, but she didn't flinch. She just stared at me like this was totally normal. Like of course I'd hand over $2,000 for a party I wasn't even invited to help plan. I said, "You're serious?" She looked at me like I was the one being difficult. "You live rent-free, don't you? We raised you, this is the least you can do, you owe us for existing." Those words, "you owe us for existing," they hit me like a slap. Not because it was new, but because she said it so casually, like she'd always believed it, like that was just a fact of life. I stood there, not even angry at first, just tired, drained. I realized I was done. Done being the punching bag, done playing the background character in a story where I'm expected to pay for the main character's party. So I put down my glass, and for the first time in my life, I said no. Not just to the money, to all of it. To the game, to the guilt, to the role I'd been stuck in since I was a kid. And that's where everything started to unravel. Because for my mom, me saying no, that was the ultimate betrayal. I was in the kitchen making a sandwich. Nothing fancy, just turkey and cheese. I had one earbud in, scrolling through my phone, half tuned out from everything around me. That's when my mom came in, not like a regular mom. No warmth, no "how's your day?" She walked in like a CEO ready to fire her least favorite employee. Her eyes locked on me like I'd just committed some crime. And then it began. "Why can't you be more like Ethan?" she snapped. "You're lazy. You're selfish. I'm disappointed. Same script, different day. I didn't even flinch. I just kept looking at my phone, letting her rant bounce off me like it always did. I used to argue back, but it never made a difference. So now, I just let her blow off steam, like I'm a punching bag she doesn't have to recharge. But then, out of nowhere, she dropped something new. "We're throwing Ethan a big graduation party," she said, real calm at first. "You're paying for the catering." I blinked. Did I hear that right? I looked up, half laughing. Wait, what? Why would I pay for that? I thought maybe it was a joke. It wasn't. Her whole face shifted. Her voice shot up like a rocket because you owe us for existing. Those words, I can't even describe what they felt like. Not rent, not bills, not a favor, just for existing. That's what she thinks I'm worth. Someone who needs to pay off a lifelong debt just for being born. I stood there, frozen, while my brain played back every single time I helped her with errands, paid for groceries, fixed stuff around the house, stayed up late to walk the dog when she was tired. All of that meant nothing. All she cared about was that Ethan, her golden child, got his big celebration, and I was supposed to cover it like some walking ATM. I didn't even realize my dad had come in until I heard his voice behind me. He didn't ask what was going on, didn't ask if I was okay, just said, "Can you stop causing trouble?" That's his whole thing. Pretend everything's fine, tell me I'm the problem, and back her up, without saying it directly. I turned to both of them and said it, loud and clear. No. Not yelling, not angry, just firm. A real, final no. My mom's eyes widened, like she couldn't believe I'd say that out loud. Then she exploded. Screamed louder than I've ever heard. Got in my face. And then she pushed me. Just a shove, but still. She's never done that before. Never laid hands on me. That was the moment something deep inside me broke loose. I wasn't scared. I wasn't even sad. I just stepped back. Quiet. Calm. I said, "Don't touch me." She tried to block the doorway, arms spread like she was guarding the gates of her pride. But I wasn't playing. I walked around her, cool as I could, and headed toward the front door. She slammed it behind me so hard the whole frame shook. I could still hear her yelling through the wood, her voice cracking like glass. I didn't say a word. I walked to the garage and just stood there for a minute, letting the silence settle around me. I wasn't sure if I was shaking from anger or shock, but either way I needed to breathe. I grabbed my phone. That's when the group chat exploded. Notifications flying in like fireworks. My aunt, my cousin Sarah, even Ethan. Messages popping up one after another. What's going on? Why is mom freaking out? Did you really say you're not paying? You better fix this. They were all in it, watching it unfold like some family soap opera. And in that moment, I knew I was done being the one who kept things together while everyone else got to fall apart. She told everyone I refused to help, not that she demanded $2,000, 0 cents out of nowhere, not that she said I owed her for existing. No, she rewrote the whole thing. Suddenly, I was the heartless son, the ungrateful one, the selfish kid who abandoned his loving family during a special time. She made herself the victim, in a story where she was the one doing the damage. And just like clockwork, the texts started rolling in. My aunt messaged me first, something vague like, "Hey sweetie, is everything okay with your mom?" Then my cousin Sarah, who had sent me that screenshot just days before, asked, "Did you really refuse to help with the party? You know how much this means to her." Even people I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had opinions. Family friends, old neighbors. My uncle, who usually doesn't even remember my birthday, sent me a long message about how family comes first and you only get one mom. It was wild. Like I had become the villain in a movie I didn't even agree to star in. And honestly, I didn't respond. What was the point? Every time I tried to explain myself in the past, it got twisted. If I defended myself, I was attacking her. If I stayed silent, I was proving them right. So I said nothing. Let them talk. Let them play out their drama without me. But then came the call. I was at work, just trying to finish my shift when my phone rang. It was her. I stared at the screen for a few seconds before answering, already bracing myself. "The caterers need a deposit," she said like it was a casual reminder. "I gave them your name. It's on you now." My heart dropped. I asked, "You what?" She repeated it, calm at first. "They'll be calling you. I told them you'd cover it." I said no, firm, final, one word. And that's when she snapped. "You're a failure," she screamed. "You owe us for putting up with you all these years. You think you're better than this family? You're nothing." I didn't yell back. I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. I just laughed. Not because it was funny, but because something in me had shifted. Like I was hearing her clearly for the first time. I said, "I don't owe you anything, not for being born, not for surviving this house. Be glad I stayed this long." And then I hung up, No goodbye, no guilt, just a full stop. That night when I got home, it was like walking into a pressure cooker. The house was dead quiet, but the tension screamed. My dad didn't say a word. He didn't even look at me, just sat on the couch watching TV, pretending everything was fine. My mom was in her room, slamming drawers like that would make me come running. And Ethan, he gave me that look, the same look he's given me since we were kids. Like I had just ruined Christmas, like I was the one who broke the family. But I didn't care anymore. I wasn't paying for the party. I wasn't showing up. I wasn't pretending everything was okay just to keep the peace that never really existed. I was done. Not in a dramatic, storm out of the house kind of way. Just done. I sat in my room, looked around at the space I had tried to make feel like home, and realized it never was. And the scariest part? That realization didn't hurt. It felt like peace. I picked up my phone and called the caterers first. Calm, steady voice. I told them straight up I wasn't authorizing any payment. My name shouldn't be on anything. I never agreed to cover anything for the party, and if they expected money, they'd have to talk to the person who actually booked them. They were confused, obviously. Said my mom had already given them my contact info, told them I'd handle it. I shut it down right there. Then I called the bakery. Same conversation, same confusion, and again I made it clear, I'm not involved and I'm not paying. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. A couple hours later I heard stomping down the hallway. Fast and loud like a storm coming. My mom kicked open my bedroom door like it was some courtroom. Her face was red, her hands were shaking, and before I could even say a word, she tried to grab my phone right out of my hand. I pulled back. She slapped my arm, not hard, but enough to make it clear this wasn't just yelling anymore. I looked at her dead in the eye and said, "You can't force me to pay for your fantasy." That's what it was, a fantasy, a picture-perfect celebration for her golden child, all paid for by the one kid she never cared to celebrate. She froze for a second. Maybe it was the way I said it. Maybe it was the fact that I didn't flinch. Then she turned and stormed out, slammed the door so hard the mirror on my wall shook like it was about to fall. I sat there, not angry, just done. And then I did the one thing I'd never done before. I opened the family group chat. I didn't explain anything, I didn't argue or rant, I just sent screenshots. All of it. Her messages demanding money, her saying I owed her for existing, her threatening me over the phone. I sent every receipt, no words, no caption, just the truth, in plain text. Some family members stayed quiet, some sent private texts asking, "Is this real?" But my cousin Sarah, she just replied with 3 words, "Classic, Linda." And that was all I needed to hear, because for once, someone saw it too. Mom wouldn't stop, she kept pushing, like she could still wear me down if she just screamed loud enough. The phone calls came daily long, angry rants about betrayal and disrespect, always ending with her hanging up before I could say a word. Then came the Facebook posts. Not direct, of course, she's too good at playing innocent. Just vague, dramatic statuses like, "It's always your own kids who hurt you the most," or, "After everything we've done for him," and people ate it up. Comment after comment from her friends. "Stay strong, mama," and "You raised a good one in Ethan." Nobody had a clue what was really going on. Meanwhile, Ethan started getting nervous. At first he seemed chill, like he thought this was all just typical family drama, but then the pressure started to hit. This party was built around him. His face was on the invitation. His name was on the banner. And now, everything was falling apart. The cake shop called me, asking when I'd be picking up and paying. The venue emailed me about the deposit. It was like I was somehow the point person for the whole thing. I told all of them the same thing, talk to Linda. I'm not involved, I never was. But even that didn't stop it. That night I got a text from my dad, short and cold. "If you won't pay, maybe you need to find a new place to live." No explanation, no asking why, just a threat. I stared at it for a second, and then I replied, "Maybe I will." And I meant it. I'd never felt more certain of anything. The final explosion came the next morning. I was in the kitchen making coffee when Mom came in like a tornado. No hello, no warning. Just screaming, she demanded to know why I was ruining everything, called me ungrateful, said I was tearing the family apart. When I picked up my phone to ignore her, she lunged for it again. I pulled away, she slapped my hand. It wasn't hard, but it was enough. That was her second time putting hands on me in a week. And then Ethan walked in. "Finally, just pay," he yelled. "It's not that big of a deal." I turned and stared at him. "Then you pay for your own party," and that was it. He snapped, shoved me. Straight up shoved me in the chest like we were kids again. I stumbled back, caught my balance, and shoved him right back. Nothing wild, just enough to say, "Don't touch me." That's when Mom completely lost it. She kicked a chair so hard it tipped over and slammed into the wall. Her scream didn't even sound human. I didn't say a word. I didn't argue. I just turned around and walked out of the house. That night, I packed a bag essentials only. Some clothes, my charger, my documents. I messaged a friend. "Can I crash tonight?" He replied instantly. "Always." And just like that, I knew I wasn't going back. But before I left, I did something for me. I printed out screenshots of everything, every demand, every insult, every receipt. I put them in envelopes, one for Mom, one for Dad, one for Ethan. I left them in plain sight around the house. Kitchen table, living room, Ethan's nightstand. Then, just to make it crystal clear, I snapped a photo of the envelopes and sent it to the family group chat. No long message, just, "I'm out. Ask Linda why." And then, I blocked them all, every single one. Phone, text, socials. I walked out with a bag, a phone, and, for the first time in my life, peace. I left. No screaming, no dramatic goodbye, no slamming doors. Just quiet footsteps, a bag over my shoulder, and the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, it feels like relief. I crashed at my friend Mike's place. When I walked in, he didn't ask a single question. He just handed me a drink, nodded toward the couch, and said, "You're good here." That moment of stillness, no noise, no judgment, felt like breathing for the first time in years. But peace doesn't last long when your family's built on control. The next morning, I woke up to 40 missed calls. Text after text flooded in. Mom said she couldn't breathe. "Come home," she wrote, over and over. Ethan's messages were longer. He said, "I can't do this without you. Please come." I didn't know it would go this far. Dad's tone was different. "We'll do anything. Just fix this," he said. But it was too late. Way too late. The caterers canceled, the cake never showed up, decorations didn't even leave the shop. Guests started leaving when nothing was ready. Mom ended up crying in the bathroom, Dad walked around furious, blaming everyone but himself. And Ethan, he refused to go on stage, said it didn't feel right without family there. My cousin Sarah, always blunt, summed it up best in a message. Total disaster. And this time people noticed. Was those screenshots I dropped in the group chat? Yeah, they made their rounds. People saw the receipts, saw the lies unravel, saw the fake narrative crash into the truth. The story Mom had built, that I was ungrateful, selfish, a disappointment, fell apart in front of her own audience. Her last text to me said, "You made your point." And I replied, "Yeah, I did." Since then I've been looking for a new place, staying with friends who get it, friends who don't treat love like a contract. And for the first time in years, I don't feel guilty. Not a little bit. Not even at night when the house is quiet and the what-ifs try to creep in. Because here's the thing. Sometimes family is just biology. And biology doesn't give anyone the right to break you down. Respect is earned. Love is a two-way street, and if it's always you doing the giving, then maybe it's not love at all. I'm not going back. Not until it's on my terms, not until they stop seeing me as the backup plan or the wallet or the emotional punching bag. Just me, or nothing. Thanks for listening. And if you're going through anything like this, if your own family makes you feel small, like you owe them just for existing, please hear me when I say this. You don't have to take it forever. You really don't. If that spoke to you, stick around. There's more where that came from. Hit subscribe or watch the next story. You're not alone.